LaTeX workshops. The first workshop was on Friday, and we're going to post publicly a recording of the one that goes better. But we'll send you this recording whether or not this is the better one. So we're here to talk about making your LaTeX accessible. So you all probably know that there's this requirement that most of you are going to be under, that legal requirement to make your learning resources accessible. But it's a good thing to do whether or not um, you're legally required to. And in some sense, we want accessibility to be like the reason you're starting to use PreTeXt, which is what we're really here talking about. But in the long run, you'll like PreTeXt because it's really great at making interactive material. So students love things where they can practice, they get instant feedback, and PreTeXt makes it very easy for you to do that. So we hope that once you're comfortable with LaTeX and PreTeXt, you're going to want to start using it for more things. But here we're mostly to talk about how to make the LaTeX you already have be accessible. Let me screen share and tell you a little bit of background before we actually do some examples. So in my title, I put accessible in quotes because certain parts of LaTeX are not accessible and can't ever be made accessible. And we're also not making LaTeX accessible. So what we're really using is called PreTeXt, which is a different markup language for describing a document. And what you're going to see us doing is the LaTeX you're looking at gets converted into PreTeXt in a way you don't see. And then that PreTeXt gets converted to, and what we'll be looking at is accessible HTML. And PreTeXt is built on 11 principles, one of which is that everything in PreTeXt can be made accessible. And that means you might be outputting Braille, you might be outputting HTML that people are using a screen reader to use, and there's certain inherent limitations in those media. So, for example, in Braille, the page is always the same width, no matter how, with a certain number of characters. The characters are always the same size. You can't do double column or anything like that, right? And for a screen reader, that means software that pronounces a web page for you. And so anything that you do that's purely visual can't be represented by the screen reader. Okay. So that means lots of stuff you're maybe in the habit of using in LaTeX, like using mini page or no indent or saying things are large, that can't be made accessible. And in fact, we'll just throw that away. So if you're going to convert some LaTeX and you say something is large, well, that large is going to mysteriously disappear. The things you meant to be large will be there, but the word large itself won't be. Okay? There's some things you do in LaTeX which are not inherently accessible, but you can make them. For example, you might make things bold or italics. Well, there's no such thing as bold or italics in Braille, but you made it bold or italics for a reason. So you might have been trying to emphasize something, or you might have been trying to alert somebody about something, or maybe you were introducing some terminology. So these tags are available, and um, but it's going to require you as the author to decide, well, why did I make it italics? Was it a terminology? Was it emphasis? And also, you may be using LaTeX that hasn't been approved for like 30 years, like you put BF inside curly brackets. Well, you're supposed to write text BF, and we'll just do that for you automatically. Okay? Lots of LaTeX is inherently accessible, like using sections and subsections and block quotes is good. Using begin and end definition, that's good. And if you like DEF instead of or DEFN, that works. We love synonyms. Those are already built in. You don't have to worry about it. There's certain things PreTeXt is good at, and other things it's never going to be good at. You're never going to make a movie poster or a wedding invitation because that's all about appearance. And there's just no way to make weird, fancy, curly fonts like you'd have in a wedding invitation, in PreTeXt. One thing I meant to include, but forgot here, is you can have macros. Some of the macros that you have can be used. Those are the ones that are in math. So macros in math mode will work in PreTeXt. Most other macros do not. And there's a good reason. Most of those occur are either for appearance, like you're trying to style what something looks like, and we have offer other ways of doing that. And or they might be convenience, like you like not typing begin equation, you like typing \BE instead. Well, the editor we use saves you all that typing anyway, so those convenient ones, we don't provide a direct way of doing that. But although configuring an editor is an option. Uh, I'm now going to do a demonstration of how um, the tool we provide for converting LaTeX to an accessible form. Okay, so I went online and I grabbed a syllabus about a course I know nothing about, Introduction to Machine Learning. Okay, so I'm a mathematician, not a computer scientist. Now, this isn't a totally random syllabus. I looked at the LaTeX before I decided if this would be a good demo. And so when I look at it, I see, um, well, there's packages. Those probably just going to get ignored, and that's okay. There's this command I'd never seen before, title format, but okay, no big deal. Title looks good, author looks good. VSpace, well, that's just going to be thrown away because spacing isn't meaningful in something like Braille. Something here is centered. Well, that's not meaningful, but the content is helpful, so let's just leave it there. Now I see a bunch of sections or section stars. Those are good. Itemize is good. Another list of things, a table is good. I don't see hardly anything that's large or no indent or mini page. So I'm pretty optimistic that this should work pretty well in our system. Okay. So what you're going to do when it's your chance, and maybe you already tried, is you go to PreTeXt.Plus, and then you just click on My Projects. Now I just want a new project. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to import an existing document. Okay. So I'm going to click on this and I'm just going to select the file. And I called it syllabus0.tex. Okay. And I'm going to open that. All right. Let's see what it's telling me. So it found the file. It tells me it's LaTeX. It actually looked inside the file. It did not use the .tex to figure that out. It's calling it an article. That's fine. Output file's 9. Well, I know why it says 9 because we organize files by one file per section. So there's going to be a main file for my document, and then there's going to be a separate little file for each section. In this particular case, that doesn't actually help much because there are going to be a bunch of little files because these are little sections. But if it's something like a paper or a longer document, that definitely helps. It made some conversion warnings. Well, it's deleting some stuff. TextBF, it's calling that an anomaly because I'm going to have to decide, am I emphasizing or making an alert or something? I had a bunch of sections that were not assigned IDs, and we like things to have IDs in PreTeXt, so it's just assigned IDs. Now, I can convert to a PreTeXt, or I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it as LaTeX. Okay, so now I just confirm my import, and now you're going to get something that kind of looks like overleaf in the sense that I have files, I have my source, and I have my output. Okay. So that whole LaTeX file just got condensed down to this little thing. Well, it left a VSpace at the top. It's not doing anything, but we didn't just delete it automatically. Then there's this odd looking command plus. Well, that's how in PreTeXt.Plus you include another file. You have to say what type of file it is. It's a section. So these are the separate sections, and they're over here course descriptions. Now let's look at what actually happened. Here's the outcome. Okay, there's the title. That's good. Class meeting. That looks okay. Course description. There's nothing there. Okay, why is that? So this is the situation you're going to be in. You'll upload your LaTeX and it might be totally messed up or it might be a little messed up, but whatever it is, you're going to have to fix it. Okay, so let's fix that course description problem. So that's in the courses. So I'm going to click over here. This is my list of files over here. Course description. Well, this is weird. There's a perfectly nice paragraph here. What happened is we had one of these seminars on workshops on Friday, and a bunch of errors were found. And those all got fixed. But it turns out we introduced an error. There's a weird error that when there's only one paragraph in your section, it disappears. And temporarily today, you can fix it by just putting a blank line before the that paragraph. But certainly by tomorrow, definitely Wednesday, that'll be fixed. Okay, so now let's go back to the overall thing, and I say, aha, there's the course description there. Learning outcomes, required text, fine. Grading, that's blank. So let's click on grading. That's the same bug. Just put a blank line there. Then that appears and go back to the main thing. And there's grading. There's schedule. Oh, course policies. Okay, those are messed up. Let's go to course policies. Oh, it's almost the same problem. Put in your blank line. And there's the course policies. Now I have a comment on the content. I'd kind of like it if academic integrity, late work, and accommodations weren't all just run into one paragraph, but it's LaTeX. I know that I just put a blank line. So let's put a blank line there, and let's put a blank line there. And now it looks like what I want. And let's go back to the main file. Okay, so now let's scroll through the whole thing. It looks pretty good. Now I want to make an HTML version that's accessible. Okay, well, big green button, save and manage. Let's click that. I'm trying to make the website version. It's not been built, so let's build it. Okay, now it's not been published. So when you make HTML, you might want to let us host it for you. Or you might want to download the HTML and put it on your own web page. Or you might want to load it into Canvas or Moodle or whatever LMS. So all those options are here. So, but publishing it makes it so it's visible outside from just me. Now let's look at it. So I'm going to open this, a new tab. And here's my web page that has my syllabus. So course description is there and learning outcomes is there. This is fine, but it's a bit silly to have it as all separate pages. So I want it one big page, okay? So let me go back to my management page. So now you need to look around and see what might be the thing you need to do. So I'm building my website and I want to change it. So that's here, build settings. And I want to change a build setting for the HTML. And now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to look at. There's the theme. That's what it looks like. A dark mode. Well, I'm not a dark mode person. Web page split level. I hope that's not too cryptic, but that's what we want to change. We want everything on one page. So let's save that. And then let's rebuild. It's rebuilt. Now let's go back to that and reload. And now there's my syllabus as one page. And all the requirements for accessibility for a screen reader have been done automatically. And I didn't need to think about that. And you don't need to think about that. Okay. So that's the process you're going to go to. You're going to choose a file. You're going to go to PreTeXt.Plus, go to My Projects, and go to New Project. And then there's a cleanup phase. So what's going to happen next is Stephen and Oscar are going to go through that process with some different types of documents. And then we'll want as many of you as we can fit in to go through that process with it, screen sharing, and we'll help fix up stuff. And it would really be helpful if someone's willing to do the entire process absolutely from scratch. So just click on new project while we're watching, upload a file while we're watching, and we'll all help you get through that process. Okay, so that's where we are. I'm going to stop sharing, and Stephen and Oscar will now uh, do similar demos.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Oscar Levin. I'm going to show you how I am actually currently creating some worksheets or in-class activity handouts to give my students for a discrete class that I'm teaching. Um, I have been doing this process before PreTeXt.Plus. So I used to go through and actually take my LaTeX code of something I wrote before and do lots of find and replace and try to fix it that way. Um, if I would have just, started this software thing earlier, I would have saved myself a lot of time, and hopefully will save you a lot of time as well. Um, so, share my screen here. Okay, so here's my PreTeXt.Plus dashboard. You can see I'm working on a calculus class here with two collaborators. I'm teaching collaborated calculus. I'm the coordinator, and um, I have two grad students that have versions of this. So we're collaborating on this at the same time. But let me show you what I would do for um, a, a LaTeX worksheet that I had. In fact, this is the activity I had that I'm going to be converting. So it was for Math 228. This was called Logic and Proofs. It happened to be on that day. It started with just like one question, a lot of space for them to work on, and then I had something for next time, an activity that had multiple parts. Okay, so I want to get this into an accessible format because this HTML, this PDF would definitely not meet accessibility requirements. My LaTeX looks like this. Um, it, I'm assuming just a little more even. You can see it uses the exam document class. If any of you have used that, it was great for creating PDFs for exams. You could have numbering automatically. You could count up points for you, all this kind of stuff. So that's why I wrote all of my stuff in the exam document class. I have some math macros here that I may or may not want to use. Um, I was using first page header to specify the title of it. So I know that's something I'm gonna have to deal with. And this problem I decided was a quote, not a problem, which maybe was just weird. I did it because I thought it would look good when I did that. And the placement on the page that I got by doing begin quote was was conveying information, I thought, to people reading it. Um, because I'm used to seeing something that is slightly indented and thinking, oh, that's something I should do. Of course, if someone can't actually see the activity they're working on, if they have a screen reader reading it to them, or if they're feeling it on a Braille version, they're not going to be able to use the placement on the page to infer that meaning. So a lot of what we're doing is trying to get away from that sort of thinking of what's the markup I should use to get this look, but instead, how should I describe this content in a way that makes some sort of sense in the structure of the document? I have a new page here, and well, let's see what happens when I convert it, when I import it to PreTeXt.Plus. So like David did, I'm going to go to New Project. I'm going to import an existing document. And let's see here, I have all my documents here. I'm just going to take that activity, I'm going to drag it over. Got a few conversion warnings. Yeah, center, vfill, worksheet, didn't have an ID. Okay, I want to keep it as LaTeX. I could preview what it's going to do. That's not particularly helpful. Um, I'm just going to try it. Let's confirm import and see what I get. Okay. Well, I have this, myself a little space here. This imported just as a single document because I didn't have any divisions. I didn't have any sections or subsections or chapters listed. That's fine. I'm going to use this just as a single document. I might clean it up a little bit. Um, Notice there's no title here, so I should fix that. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to change this so I can keep track of it in my growing list of projects, PreTeXt.Plus. I'm going to say this is logic intro activity. That doesn't change anything about the document, it just helps me find it later. Um, you can see here at the very top, it's light because you're not supposed to edit this in the document. Because this is an article, it has to start with this form, but it didn't infer the title. So if I click there, trying to add a title, it'll let me add a title here. And the title was Logic and Proofs, and it's an article. So it's good. Oh, that's looking a little better already. Excellent. Okay, I have this quote, and quote was respected, and you can see it's indented. Maybe I just leave that the way it is. Um, there's no such thing as a new page. You can see it's underlined there. New page is not a recognized pretext macro. It may not convert. Okay. Um, let's just get rid of that for now. Um, if A and B, now let's see. I better go back to my thing. That doesn't look right. Oh no, AB, that was the times. It just that's exactly what it was before. It really just imported it precisely. If AB is an even number, then A or B is even. And then I have a hint here. I'm beginning questions. And okay, um, we have a question here, we have the content. Notice there's this begin align, and that's the regular way you do it in LaTeX. This was not working on Friday, but now it is. Um, this begin align, and that's doing the right alignment over here. So that's looking good. And I have a V space. Now, normally V space doesn't mean anything, but in our situation, since we're creating something that's supposed to be printed and handed out, um, we can actually include that. And the converter is smart enough to know that this V space of 1 inch goes with this question. And it should be some question there. Now, on this view, you don't see that because this is not the view that is supposed to be printed out. If I go up here, I can look at a print preview for that worksheet. And let me close that off and make this a little bigger. And you can see it's about the right size. This is what that part of the activity I brought in will look like when a student clicks the print preview button, or when I click it before class wanting to print something. And um, and this is what they would see when they actually wanted to print. They could print it to a PDF just by going to print here. I don't know if this print button actually does anything now. Oh, it does. I could actually print directly from here if I wanted to. You can see that it's giving me some space. It didn't give me any space at the bottom. Okay, maybe I need to fix something. But it's spacing things out just like that. Okay, so that's actually very nice. Um, yeah, I don't have any V space down here. So I could do put 1 inch down there. And now when I look back here at the preview, I see, okay, I'm getting 2 pages with that workspace shown. I can also see, if I go to highlight workspace, how much workspace I'm actually using compared to how much I asked for. This is what 1 inch of workspace gave me. And because I had some extra room, it wouldn't all fit on one page, so I needed to put it onto 2 pages. It just stretched that out for me automatically. Now, something I might want to do here is put this all on a single printout that I could bring to class. Maybe that would be 3 pages. I don't know. We could see. So what I want to do there is I think I want to take this begin questions and I want to move it up. The code editor we have here is very nice. If you've used Visual Studio Code, a lot of the keyboard shortcuts work the same way. I was holding down the Alt key when my cursor was on this one and just using up and down. So Alt up and down just moves it up and down very easily. You will get very spoiled and never want to write in Microsoft Word ever again. This quote was really a question I wanted to ask to answer. So question, solve this logic puzzle. Okay. Then decide which of the following are valid proofs of the following statement. This is itself a question. So that should be a question. But then these different proofs probably are all just parts of that. So maybe what I want to do is I want to say begin parts. And this is stuff that comes from the exam document class, which we just happen to respect here. Oh, I have all of these together. So here's a cool thing you can do. If I put my cursor on one of those question and I hit Control D, it selects it. Control D again selects the next question. Control D selects the next question. I get all of them at once. You start to feel like some sort of like super spy. You do this. I need to end my parts. Okay, that's looking much better. Maybe I want to actually say that this is a quote. So I get that same sort of. Notice it gives me some suggestions of environments that it knows about. So I'll do that, and then Alt up arrow moves that in there. So okay, this is actually looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I could look at the print of the worksheet altogether, and I see, okay. So now this did split it up into a weird number of pages. And I can try to now mess with that by changing the amount of workspace I have on things to try to get it to look nicer. I don't think it's the sizing that's causing the weird spacing. It's just because I have too much workspace. So I could go in and I could change this to like 0.1 inch just to see what happens. Not not very much unlike what you would do if you were actually typing in LaTeX and trying to see how your thing was being laid out, right? All the stuff that you're used to doing, writing a LaTeX document, is exactly the things I'm doing to make this look better. And I'm seeing it look better, and maybe this just isn't the right format here for things. Maybe I need to figure out a way to split into 3 pages since I'm doing a thing to print out and bring to class. The last little thing I'll point out, these headers, that's not part of the original thing. So let me show you what to do about that. That's something you can actually just turn off if you don't want. That might actually change the amount of space we have. Okay, let me save and manage. Again, I could build, just like David did. Maybe I want a PDF version to print out directly. So I could go to print and add an output and then build that. And I'll get a PDF version as well. The build settings allows you to change printout, which are worksheets and handout options. We can change the margins. Maybe one way to get more stuff on the page is maybe if I just use 0.5 inch margins around all sides. And maybe because this is my class, I want my students to always see that it is Math 228 and this is fall 2026. So I save those settings, and now if I go to rebuild, by the way, this is what the PDF looked like. I have my worksheet here, and I have my problems. It is actually giving some workspace there. You can't see it. That's the 0.1 between those. See, I think I just rebuilt. So if I preview this, I can see that I have this worksheet here that has all of that. And if I go to print, my preview now has smaller margins. And if I show that first page header, that has the content that I put in there. And then I could embed this in my Canvas or print it out and bring it to class directly from that same HTML. source. I think I'll stop there and let Steven show something off.
All right. So this will be the last prepared demo of the afternoon. And so this will be a great time if you think you would want to be brave and help get some live help from us to convert some LaTeX or to write some LaTeX style pretext to create an accessible document. You can kind of have that at the ready. But let me go ahead and share my screen. Make sure I share the correct screen. Here we go. So I'm going to also work with a syllabus, but I'm going to do a slightly different feature that we haven't seen so far right here. So here we have our syllabus. I'll go ahead and dig into the syllabus. It's something I copy pasted again from a template right here. And I cleaned it up a little bit, but the main thing that I'm missing right now from this syllabus is, of course, this image right here. My goal, what I would really like to have is this image of the beautiful math building on my campus. So I tried to keep the same include graphics banner image.png. What? No, it can't. It doesn't mean anything, right? Because this is not living on a file system. LaTeX can't look up the file on my computer. So how the heck am I going to make this appear in my syllabus handout? Well, this is where asset management comes into play with PreTeXt.Plus. I haven't added any assets in the project yet, so let me add one. And so you have a few different options. One thing you could do, and probably the quickest way for this particular example, is just to right click the image because it happens to be on a web page. I'll copy the image and I'll paste that in right there. And so I could do it that way, or I could have instead gotten the image address, uh, except that, oh yeah, Canvas did not want to use the image address that way. I could try it this way. Let's see if that works. This preview, there it goes. It did grab it that way. So we just take that image address. And if it's the JavaScript was keeping you from copying it or something, you could do it that way and add that in there. In any case, I really should give it a title. This is the math stat building. I'm going to add that to the project. Yeah, so it's upset because I have access to this picture because I'm logged in, but PreTeXt.Plus doesn't have access to that picture. So the safer thing I could have done, since this is not a public web page, is to copy that image, paste it in right here. You could also, I'll show you in a moment, another way to upload an image, and I'll rename this to Math Stat Building. All right, add to project. So that one's going to work because it just copied off of my computer. And I'll go ahead and copy this and save and copy the embed code. And I'll just replace that old include graphics with this new code that the PreTeXt.Plus gave me. And there's my beautiful picture of the MathStat building here on South Alabama's campus. Now, this is all about making LaTeX accessible. And I just put an image in there. And one thing that the shrewd-eyed participant will notice is that there is no alt text here. Absolutely, there's no alt text. This is not accessible currently. Currently, the hint that we give you for this is the fact that this is orange down here. Or if I'd scroll down further, normally I would see it because I'm zoomed the way in. So now I see it's more obvious at the normal zoom that there is a short description is required for accessibility. Let me zoom in so y'all can read it as well. And so I really should give a description of what this image is or what its purpose is. And this is, I had to clarify, or David had to clarify for me last time, is I'm not giving you a demo on how to write good alt text. That's its own whole workshop. So really quickly, I'm going to give some decent first pass of alt text, which is a decorative banner image of the math stat building. So now I'm going to save that. I don't have to repaste it in there because as soon as I gave it the alt text, no longer is it giving me the sad orange text right here. And now I can go ahead and save and manage. Now this website, I can build that website. And now I'll preview it. So like Oscar did a moment ago, go into my syllabus handout, and there's that picture. Is it accessible? Well, I can right click it. And sure enough, if I dig into the source code, I see decorative banners. You have to squint real hard because you can't zoom in on this on my screen. But trust me when I say that says decorative banner image of the math stat building. So that has given appropriate alt text for the screen reader user right there. It does survive also if I want to print out this syllabus. Here is my print preview of my syllabus right here. So I could print this out and bring this to class with me. One little chip here that's this private preview thing. I don't want to print that out. So I could obviously just print out the last page of it, or I could go back, manage the project. This is something I want to share with my students. Let me actually publish this link. Now I won't get that scary. This is not a public project thing because it's not, it is a public project now. I go into my syllabus handout. I can print it. And now I'll just have the one page I actually care about for my syllabus handout. Now, this PDF, I could save it as a PDF right here. This is not an accessible document. In the pretext world, generally speaking, PDF is there to help you print, like on physical paper, like we often do, but it's not for uploading to our websites. That PDF, there's again a whole workshop on the inherent inaccessibility of PDFs. In particular, I could save this as a PDF. It'll probably pop open in my Adobe Acrobat automatically. But the main issue with these PDFs, in addition to the fact that all the source has been garbled in the background, so a screen reader can't really appreciate it because it's focusing on presentation and not content. But if I zoom in on this document, notice that if I want to zoom in, if I need to get this really big so I can read it, well, now half the text is off the side of the screen, right? A good document, an accessible document, should reflow to fit the viewport. And if I come back over here, I can leave the print preview here. And again, if I'm zooming in way hard because I really need to see at 500, times what's happening here, well, now I actually have this text where I can read it and it reflows to fit my screen. So this is why we say pretext HTML is the best way, and truly the only way that really meets the guidelines for ADA level AA, I believe it is, that handles the reflowing of content appropriately, so that a screen reader that's not because it's not just for screen reader users, it's also for low vision readers as well, to be able to zoom wide in and be able to see everything. Okay, so the last thing I want to be able to do that we have not seen yet today, let me get back to the normal Zoom here, is I actually want to share this with my students. So I showed you before that since I, a moment ago, made this an unlisted project, which means that it won't show up on search results or my PreTeXt.Plus profile page, but it will create a links that, I mean, I'll put this in the chat right now. You can click this link and see that it is a legit public link. So that's a link you could access directly. I could put that link in my LMS, but what I really would like to do is embed this as syllabus, right? Let me embed this into my LMS by taking this copy code right here, copy that code. I'll go over here to my LMS. I've already pulled up the course syllabus page of Canvas here. Most major LMSs, D2L, Brightspace, Moodle, they will have support for something like an embed code. Right here, it looks like a little cloud in Canvas. I'll just paste that sucker in, hit submit, and now update my syllabus. And voila, here I have my fully accessible syllabus. Heck, it even has like a screen reader support in it. I don't know if it'll go through
One syllabus handout.
I don't know if y'all heard that or not, because I'm not sure I'm showing. Oh, you heard it? Okay. So yeah, so it would read through it. If there was math on this page, it would read the math and it would dig into the math. So it's pretty slick. So it is truly an accessible document that students can, oops,
Alt text.
I want to put that away now. There we go. Turn that off for now. So there it is. If I right click this image again and inspect it again, take a moment now. I have 10 million pages open. You see that alt text is preserved. It is accessible to the screen reader, or whatever device is being used. Finally, even at the end of the day, I have a completely blind student who wants everything in tactile braille. I don't know the first thing about tactile braille, but PreTeXt does. And so I can create this braille version. I can build that. You can download that file. BRF is a Braille Ready format, I believe that's called. And it might look a little bit silly to you and me as I pull this up right here, but this is the shorthand that's actually used that converts to the Braille symbols. One for one turn to the Braille symbols. It has some contractions, some shorthand that Braille readers know how to read. This is exactly the content that your accessibility office needs to produce a embossed tactile Braille document. So, all right, I believe that is all I had prepared at this time. So, David or Oscar, is there anything else we should address before we pass it on to our participants?
I think we should see if there are any questions that people have, either general questions or maybe let's start with kind of general questions. And if there are any particular things that you're having trouble with, if you try this process, definitely let us know. And if you're willing to share your screen, we can help you sort that out. And that'll help everyone else who's watching as well. So, what questions do you all have?
Feel free to put in chat or use the raise hand feature. I see Gerardo has a question in chat. What is the purpose from converting from LaTeX to LaTeX? Um, so that is one of the things that you can do with PreTeXt.Plus or PreTeXt in general is convert PreTeXt into LaTeX. So of course, when you write in LaTeX style PreTeXt, you're actually working with PreTeXt behind the scenes, and we do have a conversion from PreTeXt to LaTeX. I would not write LaTeX style PreTeXt just to produce regular LaTeX. That defeats the purpose. It is an option though, because sometimes you want to write PreTeXt or something called Markdown style PreTeXt, and you might need that LaTeX. For example, if you're writing a textbook, it needs to be commercially printed and published, and your publisher wants the LaTeX version of your textbook. That would be a really good example of why that is. Oscar knows this firsthand because he has a whole textbook written in PreTeXt that he converted into LaTeX to hand to his publisher Taylor and Francis, who then turned that into the commercial book.
Yeah. Someone asked about Beamer. For those of you who have been following the LaTeX tagging project, which is another effort to try to get um, LaTeX into accessible PDFs, I think it still fails in that unless you are using specialized software, you can't reflow the text because you have the static PDF. But even there, they've basically said there's no hope of getting Beamer to work. We are very close. I mean, like, if I can get my syllabus written this week so I don't start panicking about that, um, you will be able to upload the tech code for a Beamer, and that will import into the system just like that, and will create a slideshow that PreTeXt does as an HTML slideshow using something called Reveal.js, which is a very nice, accessible version of slides that work in any web browser. So that is coming very soon. There was another question about TXZ. PreTeXt absolutely supports TXZ, and PreTeXt.Plus will very soon. It's just a matter of us fixing a tiny bug with the builder. Also, things like prefigure, which is to figures what PreTeXt is to text, in that it is a semantic markup language for writing documents. Very similar to TXZ, but in many ways a lot faster because there's first-class support for things like axes and functions. And you can even just say, this is the function, and then you could say, graph the derivative of that function. I'll just graph it for you. So a very smart graphics thing. But also Sage Plot, Asymptote, all these things are things that PreTeXt supports and PreTeXt.Plus will support in both formats, or in all three, I should say. Regular PreTeXt, LaTeX style PreTeXt, and Markdown style PreTeXt.
I saw a couple of questions I want to clarify in chat. One, we should have been more clear about up front, which is PreTeXt.Plus. You can pay for PreTeXt.Plus, something that we did not include in this workshop, but we did, and there should be a recording. Is it uploaded to the Math Tech YouTube already, Oscar? Or
Not yet, no.
yeah, so we had a somewhat related workshop, accessible course materials with PreTeXt, where I showed how to install the free and open source PreTeXt software onto something called a GitHub code space. So you're still working in your web browser, but now you're running your own. Basically, you're spinning up your own computer in the cloud on Microsoft servers, and they provide that as a service for free. Not nearly as turnkey as PreTeXt.Plus. We made PreTeXt.Plus because people had been asking for years for the quote unquote overleaf PreTeXt, and we knew that this would be the best way to get a lot of people using it. We looked to overleaf. for like inspiration because we have to pay our server costs. Like this is now a computer that we run in the cloud that we have to pay for month to month to run PreTeXt software for everybody. But so we decided that, what does Overleaf charge extra for? So having more than one collaborator, we do cap the number of assets that you upload to our servers because that's an actual cost that we have as well. Um, and then we have some priority in builds. If there's a lot of people using the site at the same time, the subscribers will get first priority in making those builds happen. So all this is on the homepage PreTeXt.Plus. You can look at that to see what the differences are. But I'll say this: I've never paid a dollar for Overleaf in my life, and I've used Overleaf a lot. I expect many people will use PreTeXt Plus the same way as well. But we do appreciate, uh, and again, I tell people, I don't want your $5. I want your department chair, your teaching learning center directors $50 a year to help support this ecosystem. We do. 10% off the top, just we set aside to help pay for future PreTeXt development workshops, where we all get together and create the free and open source software that you could totally just install on your own computer or using GitHub Codespaces for absolutely free. But I will say that as someone who's used Codespaces for the past 3 or 4 years with PreTeXt, I'm all right. I mean, I'm building PreTeXt Plus. I'm helping build PreTeXt Plus to make the product that I want to use day to day, and I'll be using this fall in my courses as well. The other question I wanted to address, although I started talking a whole bunch and maybe I remember now, is was a question about helping with an error that popped up. I'm not going to help answer that error just yet, but what I will point out, because I meant to point this out earlier, is this beautiful give feedback button right here in the upper right. What we have here is a feedback form. And if you have something that's broken and you're not sure why it's broken, we want to know because one, maybe it's easily fixed and we can tell you how to fix it, or we could actually fix it for you and let you know how we fixed it. Or it's a bug that we want to fix for everybody. And so you could go ahead and just give us your information right here, include the current source. This will give us the project link. Or if you just want to email us, support@pretext.plus, just make sure you give us this link, this URL to the project that you're actually editing at that time. That way we can actually see exactly what it is that you're editing, what the problem is, and help diagnose it for you. So you can use the the give feedback form here in the upper right here, or there is an email support button right here. You can just give us that URL and your email address. That'd be perfect. All right. Any other Q&A we should do before we see some volunteers?
We want the first volunteer to start absolutely from scratch. Click New Project and upload. We don't want to, there are some technical questions people have, and that we'll get to those, but it's good if other people see what it's like to go from scratch. So, um, oh, can you ask a question about how close are we on Beamer? I like to say we're 90%, but the the units people want is in days, not percent.
Right, since you don't know when we started, 90% is not particularly helpful. Um, Tomorrow, end of day tomorrow, we'll have beamers.
Oh, that's a promise.
Yeah, I just promised it. Now I
Now,
stay up late tonight.
And that means we'll want people to upload Beamer and check if it's working because it works on the ones that we've made and we've tried doesn't mean it works on all of your stuff. Okay. You ever been in the position where you're teaching and you want one of your students to like volunteer? You know, that's the
Yeah.
situation we're in right now. We want one of you to volunteer to just upload a LaTeX file. Asmita, okay, screen share and do it.
Hello, I had already done the upload, so I'm just gonna go back and do another one
Great.
from scratch.
Perfect. Perfect.
And I want to warn, I was both late to this and in and out of paying attention, so you may need to guide me a little bit more than someone else. I'll take a
Hey,
different
you're
one.
just like our students. Come on, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
let's do a worksheet I have on interlinear combinations. Um, so there's a bunch of
Those look
this is like
harmless. Yeah.
uh there we go. I used frame a lot in these handouts to kind of visually draw attention. So I think that there's a lot of converting that's going to be needed. But maybe put a better name. That. So yeah, as a PDF, this is done in a worksheet format where there's already space, which is why I thought that this would be a helpful thing to go through.
So of course it would have been better if you had a begin theorem, end theorem instead of a
Mhm.
thing. But you can get rid of all the begin framed and all the end frames in one go.
Yeah.
So if you just,
Can you remind me what the command was for that?
well, I think Control F is the best thing to hear.
Oh, just like do it that way. Okay.
And then just put begin framed in that box that popped up there. And then click the little greater than, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. So you want to replace that with nothing. So then go over to not the first, but the second thing. No,
Yep.
down. No, to the right a little bit.
This one?
Not that one, but that one. Yeah. No, the one to
Yep.
its right. And you want to convert. Yeah, that's what you want to click. That's going to
Replace all.
replace begin framed by nothing everywhere.
Sure. And I wouldn't want to do the same for end.
Yeah. Whenever something happens over and over again, that's an easy situation to take care of.
Yeah.
The hard part is when you have a bunch of different things. Okay, now that's looking pretty good.
So the next
You
thing you
like
might
those
do,
highlighted. So if those were begin theorem, end theorems, then you can choose a style which highlights those in a way similar to what you've been getting with framed. So you may want to
Hmm.
play around with what the different, like convert some of them and then play around with the different output styles to see.
Okay.
Mhm. Maybe scroll down, see if there's any other problems.
Sure.
I mean, in terms of something good enough like if class was in 2 minutes, you're good enough already, I think.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Mhm. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I have some macros and it seems to have understood my macros. But would that cause any problem when publishing?
no, that should be good. In fact, to see where your macros landed, if you go up to the Tools menu
Yep.
and edit preamble,
Okay.
you can see all of those new commands that you put were stashed
Okay.
up there. So if you needed to
Okay.
change those, that's where you would do that.
Okay. That's
Right, so the
helpful.
import automatically put those there, and I'm guessing tools is maybe not the best thing for us to have written there because that it was not obvious that tools is what you want to click on to see that.
Right.
So I think we need to think about that. Mhm.
Yes. Tools was everything that didn't fit into the first two menus. That also happened this weekend.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions about the process we went through, and would someone else like to volunteer? I think Lynn said she would.
Stop my share. I think it's
If
good.
you stop
I have an
share,
idea of how to convert.
if Lynn
Yeah.
shares.
I found one problem. I went to the preamble, and for some reason, one of my new commands was not fully copied in.
Hmm.
It
Can
was
you
new
start over from
command
scratch? Yeah.
open. Yeah. Let me start it again. Getting to share. Oh, share. Looking for the right page here. Okay.
And then Kimberly Ross
Okay.
on deck
So,
for sharing next.
so this is the fixed one, but let's get out of that. Oh, got lots of banners now in front of things.
You
Try
can
and
save
find
and
a.
manage and then delete it if you want.
Okay. Let me see. Where am I deleting it?
So if you go to save and manage, the big green button,
Okay.
if you scroll down, you can just delete it and then you just
Got
start
it.
it again since you've only have like 5 minutes worked into it.
Yeah. There. Let me move the zoom down. Okay. So new project. Load it up again. This is the file that went in. Okay, and of course, the usual conversion warnings.
Yeah, those looked
Um,
innocuous. Mhm.
so that was the first view. But now when we go to tools, we find that in line 10, one of my new commands is just
Hmm.
not there. And when I delete that one, I don't even know what it was. But now suddenly we can get the file. So,
How easy is it for you to show us your original LaTeX so we can see what that command was that got messed up?
oh, sure. Well, I can pull it up. Uh, about switching windows, the one that was missing. 10th one. Ah, the command was slash right angle, so slash less than.
Oh, so that's the thing because less than is a special character in XML, which pretext is. So,
Gotcha.
But
um,
we need to, that's a very common one that we should be on the lookout
yeah,
for.
so we now that we know about it, we can detect that happening and handle it in a special way.
Got it. Yeah, that was to create there is an R angle command, I think, that already
Yes.
exists, or if you
Mhm.
do the slash greater than, it will make very wide. You want to show the ideal generated by such and such, so you need the wide angle.
Mhm. Okay.
But yeah, that was my main question. I mean, obviously with my file, there are many things to fix because I deliberately chose one where I had a picture environment because I was curious to see what would happen. And indeed, environment picture is not supported. Not a surprise, but easy now to delete.
Mhm.
And probably by the end of the week, we'll have support for the LaTeX image element of pretext, where
Ah,
you could take anything that LaTeX can render and put it into an asset that is called like an authored asset or a custom asset. And we will use pretext and our installation of pretext, which runs LaTeX, to turn that into an image, with the caveat that it's only as accessible as the alt text as you provide for it.
right,
This
right.
is accessible, making your LaTeX accessible workshop. I have to emphasize this.
Right, right. Okay, great. Thanks. That tools menu was exactly the thing to have used.
Great. Okay. Now we're going to
Let
have
me try and
Kimberly
stop
Roth.
sharing.
Yeah, Kimberly Roth can start over from scratch, and then we're going to have a more complicated question from Catherine Schultes. So, Kimberly, would you like to
Yeah, I have an old
share?
exam that I'll probably want to post as, a sample exam. So I'll just share my desktop. Hold on a sec. Where am I? There I am. Nope, that's not it. That's it. All right, let's make a new one. Where do I do that?
You click on the projects right there.
Projects. Everything's named project. Import. Let's see. Exam one. That looks nice. There's a bunch of conversion warnings. Most of it's about spacing, if I remember correctly.
Yep, looks good.
Um, so let me move this bar again. I'm having the typical zoom bar in the middle of what you want.
Wait,
Click on.
oh,
So, yeah. So essentially, there's a lot of sort of it labeled the exam worksheet. Um, doesn't like the new page command. It's not bad. I don't know what these little things are here. Are those replacements for spacers? The LaTeX seems to have imported just fine. Um, I
so
don't know.
can you click near one of those funny spacers and it'll should take us to where it is in the source.
Exercise?
What happened?
Oh, hold on. I clicked on it and it expanded.
Whoa.
Let me try clicking on a different one.
I'll try clicking on words near it, not on it, just in case that's the issue.
Okay, there's word near it. So that's that workspace command, maybe?
So you had it convert to pretext. So you're not editing LaTeX now, you're editing
Yes.
pretext.
Hmm.
It you may or may not get better results if you work with the LaTeX a bit and then convert it to pretext later.
You mean like with the spacing? Because of course, with an exam, there's, a bunch of leave this space for,
Right. I
yeah,
wonder if it doesn't like millimeters.
it's possible.
We could try changing one of those and see.
Yeah. Let's see. Oop. Uh, I'm not quite sure where the paragraph, the millimeters went
It looks like further up on the exercise element.
on the exercise element.
Where there's a
You
task with
passed
millimeters
you passed
there.
the 40 millimeter. That's a
Yeah, the 40 millimeter.
So you could try just changing that to 0 0.4 centimeters.
All right, let me find it. 0.4 centimeters.
I think you mean 4 centimeters, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm not good at converting.
Yeah, that would be right. Mhm. Let me see. Yeah, that fixed it because there's now space here. So it's that workspace command replaces your uh, B space.
Right. And automatically the LaTeX. So if you are in a workspace environment, I don't know why we're getting those. That is
Yeah, they're interesting, aren't they?
surprising. Um,
So like that one appears to be, let's see, let's try this one.
okay.
Yeah. It's those empty tables with the
Okay,
different,
those are the empty tables, so I could just delete them.
yeah, the tabular that
The
ends on,
tabular, that
yeah.
stuff.
There's no content in that, so if you just delete that, that will but you did too much. Hit Control Z. Yeah. So just the tabular. 44 is where you should stop deleting.
Ah, yes. All right. Yeah, that got rid of it.
Yeah, there
Okay,
it
so
is.
it's just empty tables. All right,
Yeah.
that's easy enough to fix. And probably fixing your units for measurement before you put it in would fix it. It doesn't like millimeters.
Well, so I'm not sure. I mean, it seemed like this also worked, but um,
Yes.
I can't remember if it just needs to be a physical distance. Millimeters might be fine.
Right. The empty tables is part of the
The empty
problem.
tables, what were those are coming from? Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Otherwise, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's good enough to post on a website as a sample exam. I wouldn't run it as a regular exam. I'd have to muck with it more, but
Sure.
of course, I'm not going to post the regular exam on the website. I give those on paper, or we work with the accessibility office if I need to. So,
So what I'd suggest, and I almost said the same thing in an answer to a question, is import as LaTeX first and don't convert to pretext too soon unless you're pretty sure that you're comfortable debugging the pretext, because it's definitely easier to debug the LaTeX at this stage than it is.
right. So that would involve what sort of, I mean, besides the spacing things to make them centimeters, what else would I want to debug before I do this?
Well, those empty tables, I'm guessing, are easier to delete in
I
LaTeX.
don't think they're in there. I mean, I can look at the raw LaTeX. You want me to pull that up?
Okay. It would be interesting to know where they came from.
Yeah, it would be. All right, hold on, tech shop. Come on, behave yourself. Uh,
Someone asked, do they have to convert to pretext? So I kind of said something like this in the beginning. At some point, you're going to be unhappy that you can't
oh, I know what
even.
those are. Okay, so those are boxes for Gradescope. That's all. I know what those are, so that's easy to get rid of. All right, never mind. I forgot which that I was using Gradescope in this course.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
Well, I
So
can stop sharing.
uh, Catherine, I think it was Schultes. Catherine, I think, had a complicated question.
Yeah,
Show
well,
us what you got.
it's um this is for a class that I was not intending to um convert this semester. I've been pretty successful in converting a lot of stuff to pretext for some of my other courses. But I have a low vision student who wants 20-point font printed documents. My tech won't do it. And so I figured I'd try it with pretext. So I'm gonna plop in one of my worksheets here. And I see that there are a lot of errors. Some of this is because I am intending for this to be printed. A lot of it is formatting. And despite learning tech in 2003 or 4, I still learned some of the old 90s stuff. So we're going to keep it as tech because that's the plan. And I have almost nothing that's actually converting. We're mostly just seeing my tech code.
Okay, so when I said we have lots of synonyms, like for definition, DEF or so EX is
Is
not
a macro.
Yeah, but see, you meant example, but someone else might have meant
So it
exam or
didn't.
something else.
So it seems to have not imported most of my macro stuff.
Right. So your EX macro won't be used. You have to convert that to something. But with one
Okay.
command, you can change curly brackets EX into curly brackets example or whatever you meant it to be.
Can I do it? So it's broken all my sections out into separate documents here. Can I do it for all of them all at once?
Not
That's an
today.
excellent idea.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. That's what I
Yeah.
want.
Right. And key idea. So that's again,
That's a manual thing that we created for this.
right. So in pretext, okay, the way we handle this in pretext, and this is really to make it sustainable, is you have to use our limited, although not that short list of environments, but then you can rename an environment. Okay. So, for example, you can use the environment fact, like begin fact, and then rename fact to key idea, where the idea is you just choose one you're not going to use anyway, and then you rename it.
Mhm.
So there's a whole bunch of things, like definitely your EXs will
Yeah,
come out.
I've got examples or exercises all over the place that are EX.
Right, but see, for you, it's exercise. For other people, it might be example. That's why we cannot like
And
a built-in default.
yeah, here, let me pull up maybe just the tech code for this one. So there was a chunk of stuff in so this is not going to import at all, I take it.
Right, because pretext provides
All of that.
standard ones.
And
So
so
what
I would need to rejigger the document in tech first, maybe before importing it.
I think because you have so many different sections, in such a large document,
Mhm.
we haven't figured out how to apply fixes to all the different sections at once. That would be a good feature that I'll play around with. But for now, I think going here and doing a find and replace for, curly brackets EX and change that to curly brackets exercise
Would be,
and do that everywhere and do the same thing for EG.
yeah.
Although I think EG might actually, it was working. EG is a synonym we use for
EG was
example.
working, yeah.
Yeah, but like key idea,
Isn't one that's built in.
right. So you could do that as, I don't know what the best name for that would be. I think, like David was saying, you could call that something like remark, and then we
Mhm.
could rename that to be key idea. So it'll always show key idea,
Mhm.
but you would code it up as begin remark, end remark.
So I was playing with this because I have a student who's low vision that has requested 20-point font printouts, and I
Yes.
can't convince tech to do that. Is there a way in PreTeXt, if I got this all converted over, that I could request larger font in the printout?
Yes. So, well, partially yes is the answer. So let me show you this.
While Oscar pulls that up, I'll just make a note. If you look in chat, if you're wondering which of these, like e.g., DFN, DEFNs, we have a list of those at our documents webpage. I'm going to repost that link in chat. Um, so that is our list of things that we've felt pretty certain mean what you meant, and we can convert those.
So one thing that we can do currently is there are readability settings here. So you can turn this up all the way. And if you do that first, and then you just do, like right click and print, the version of this will come out with the larger text. Now, if 150% is not enough, we can increase that fairly easily. I think we just stopped there because we didn't know how far to go. So this is definitely bigger than if I went down to, like, to strain my eyes. Well, I thought it was. Maybe it's not.
This is a request that came up last
Yeah.
week. And so
Yeah.
we maybe don't have it working yet. So that I think we'll have working soon. Making a change to all your different files at once in PreTeXt.Plus, that's not a this week feature we're going to get done because that's very hard. That's a thing that can royally screw up. And so we we don't have time to get all that tested. Are there any questions that have not been answered in chat? I think they all have been. There were several questions on the line of, do I have to convert to PreTeXt? And so the answer is, if you're getting what you want, then there's no reason to convert. But my prediction is you'll want to do things that can't be done in LaTeX. So maybe you want your students to be writing some computer code or do some calculations in Sage, or you want to make some kind of interactive exercise. There's not, LaTeX is not a rich enough language to let you do that, and that has to be done in PreTeXt. But the this method we have of having a plus where you include different documents, the thing you include doesn't have to be LaTeX. So you could have a whole section in PreTeXt with various interactive stuff or other features that you can't do in LaTeX. So we don't want to force you to have to go to PreTeXt if you're getting what you want out of LaTeX. And you can also do it in Markdown. If you're writing your syllabus, Markdown's about as easy as you can get. What do you need? You need headings and lists and stuff. And those work perfectly fine in Markdown.
So I had a question in the chat about commands that have like text instructions. But I put it into the preamble and it's not coming. It's like not. It's just referencing like the command itself. It's not actually bringing in what I want it to because I have some sets of instructions that's like every time I see this kind of problem, I want to display this text, and so I have like backslash formulas that gives like general information. Is there a way to get that to work and come in? And I can share my screen if that would be helpful.
Yeah, you can share your screen, but it's
Okay.
our intention is the macros in math mode are what we preserve, and others that have to do with appearance and shortcuts are not supported now.
So like I have this preamble of like for formulas, I want them to write the formula, fill it in, solve, like show work, all this. And I don't want to have to type that out every time that I have an example like this. So I want that text to just like come in. But it's not. It just says formulas.
We should probably rename that to LaTeX math macros because it's only it's only being parsed if you do that in math mode. Now what you're saying is not unreasonable, but it's not something that we handle today.
Okay. One other quick question. I'm not super familiar with this like whole labeling and referencing thing, but I want to get away from this because it's bad practice. But if I label this example this way and I try to reference that, it's not exactly working. So if maybe I'm not doing this right. So correct me if I'm wrong. But if I reference that one, oops, close that. Um, it messed things up. So I don't know.
That is strange. Just out of curiosity, if you put the ref after the example, is that gonna?
Without a new line between them.
Oh, like
Oh,
if I've already defined it.
Yeah, just to see if that's where we messed up. Because it should work, of course, referencing ahead, but
Doesn't look like it.
well, yeah, hit refresh.
There might be more than one thing going on because in pretext, we don't write example. We just say like for and then ref because it knows it's an example and the word example is going to come in for you. Um, can you just get rid of the word examples?
Here? I don't really know what that would.
I don't think that's gonna
Mhm.
be it. Um, that's
so
definitely one where. Go ahead, Oscar.
one thing that might be happening is just that this might be confusing the live preview. So could you hit save and manage and then hit rebuild? And then let's try looking at the preview. Yeah, so there that did come through for
Okay.
example 1.1. So I'll need to look into why that is making the live preview mad.
Do you
Okay.
see what I meant by you didn't need to type the word examples because the ref was to an example and it knew that and put it in?
Yeah, that makes sense. So, but I mean, I don't think that would break the
Right.
code.
Yeah.
No, so
Okay.
it's the preview that's messed up. And if the reference was to another section, it's almost certainly messed up in preview at the moment.
Okay.
Anybody else want to screen share or have other questions?
I would like to screen share
Okay.
a worksheet that I think is going to mess. Version warnings.
Who thinks keep as LaTeX should be the default so you don't have to do that each time?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll change that.
It'll be changed tomorrow.
Okay, so this is one where I was doing examples with students, and I think probably the only thing right now that's problem here is the VSpace, um, that it's not really giving me the space. But that's actually not a place where I would be really bad. Really know how to get to the next B. So in this part, yes, this is it. So this is a like a guided worksheet where I'm trying to get them to work this out with me as I go and up that looks like a PDF normally. I'm also worried about these things, but I can't do there where I'm trying to get them to like do this one by one. And so once we do this one thing, then there's box equals box. There's no
Yes.
box is
Okay.
box equals.
That's a fill-in, isn't it, Oscar?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in pretext, there's an element called fill in. And I cannot remember right now if we have a similar command for this LaTeX style pretext. So one thing you could try is to go
Our
to,
docs say we do.
okay, well, it might be lying too. Documentation likes to lie. So if you go to like one of those examples where you have this boxed raised box equals, and if you look at
Um,
the, yeah,
Yeah.
So just take all of that up to the equal sign and replace it with backslash fill in. There you go.
So it's not a
nice.
box, it's a blank. Okay.
That'll do.
yeah,
That'll do.
And we should have a publisher option that lets fill-ins be boxes instead of just lines, but that's your source would not change. A
Yeah.
feature, so it's what the appearance never depends upon what you write. You always write it the same way. Now, if you wanted your fill-ins to be boxes, which is not an unreasonable request, that would be a feature that as publisher, you choose to display it that way, but you wouldn't need to change your source when you do that.
Okay.
And the editor should let you pretty quickly change all those boxes to just a fill-in. So you do those
Mhm.
globally.
The copy and change. Okay.
but yeah.
And then the other part was the lines like this. They're filling those in like that.
How
And
did you do
then
those in LaTeX?
um I did
Okay.
little spaghetti code there. A bunch of underlines.
I would convert that as a first pass, at least convert that to an array and put that into math mode.
Okay. Okay.
So
Makes sense.
to replace tabular with array and then put a
Mhm.
couple double dollar signs before and after, and you might get there in one swing.
Okay.
Or fill-in might
Good.
work also if that.
If I could do multiple fill-ins.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, there you go.
That's even better.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
better because we're not abusing math mode for display purposes. So it makes me even happy.
Yes.
Nice.
Perfect. Okay. Well, then that was pretty much it for me. Thank you.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you. Anybody else anxious to share? We're only about 5 minutes from our official end, although we'll keep going if there's other questions or people want to try more things. Okay, maybe we should tell people about how to get help outside of things like this. One of them is on PreTeXt.Plus. Your department can request a little workshop, and when we do that, we request that you share some of the materials your department cares about so we can tailor it to you. And that's sort of as a group thing. There's other individual things. I'll let Oscar or Steven say about that.
Yeah, we have twice weekly, maybe in the fall even more often, Zoom drop-in office hours, which you can find on the place that Stephen is sharing. Mathtech.org has a calendar. So mathtech.org/events has our full calendar. So these are just Zoom sessions where we hang out and chat to people who come in. And if you have any questions, that's a great way to get help. There's also a Discord for PreTeXt and all things related, which Stephen is also showing now. The Math Tech Discord.
Yeah,
Real quick,
actually, the best way to get to it, I don't want to accidentally share the wrong Discord on screen, but I will point out that we have the link here in the sidebar to
yes.
Discord.
Yeah, so there's a Discord there. There is also, if you go to pretextbook.org, there are some other resources as well for PreTeXt proper. If you go to the Get Help or the Get Support button there.
So there's Discord, there's a Google group, there's Zoom help like this, and most people like hate at least one of those options and like one of them. So just do the one that works for you.
Right. I keep an eye on all of them, so you're not going to get away from me, unfortunately.
Another place to mention is Oscar's Pretext for Instructors. project, pfi.mathtech.org. And but again, a lot of these just link back and forth between each other, so lots of different trailheads that you can pick.
I want to address a comment Sarah made in the question. So she has lots of different new commands. So if you really lots of what I call shortcuts, they're not in math mode. What you really good use of a good editor with find and replace probably can take care of 90% of that like really quickly. It's you shouldn't be typing anything. You should just be doing a global search replace like we demonstrated here. And if you want to use a different editor, well, depending upon the editor, it can be very difficult to do that. So you need to graduate to a better editor. But that is you will have headaches if you have extensive custom commands, and you may want to take care of those before you upload to PreTeXt.Plus. Anything else before we wrap up? So we're going to share this recording with you. And we are planning some future workshops. So definitely want to making interactive stuff. We're talking here about individual documents, but you can manage your entire course in PreTeXt.Plus. It's like viewing your course as a book, where one chapter is the syllabus and other intro materials, and one chapter is homework sheets. Chapter is, exams and stuff like that. So we call it a course, but it's kind of organized like a book. And because everything's its own web page as you want it, you can just share parts of the book as you want to do a handout or whatever. And then it's all in one place, managed in what we think of as the natural way instructors think about their stuff. So again, when you do new document, new project in PreTeXt.Plus, a new course is one of the things you can choose. And I'm guessing we need to have some workshops on how to make better use of that, because we want it to be helpful, but not give you hurdles that you have to jump through. Too many solutions don't actually work for people in the trenches, and we don't want to be making those mistakes. And so we'll have another workshop where this was helpful because you showed us errors we need to fix. And that'll happen again when we talk about how we manage courses. And you're all on our mailing list, which we will not abuse. Um, and let us know how things go. Well,
Thank you all for coming.
yes, thank you.
We really appreciate you checking it out. And also, please send us your feedback. We try and make it better. I have now a two-sided list of things I'm really working on the next week to improve the service. So thank you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.